What does that good feeling mean to you? What is it telling you? What's it a signal of?
To me,
Yeah.
the first word that comes to mind is hope.
Okay. And then what's the second word that comes to? Let's hear all the things it means. It means a lot of things.
Hope. There's a way out of this. There's going to be a cure that doesn't include pharmaceuticals.
But I dismissed it. My head, my mind came in and canceled it. Your mind is going to come in and cancel it when you're trying to cure things. That's what happened to you. You know, before. You didn't go back to curing this. You just laid down in bed and, took your painkiller and you were down for the count. Now, there was nothing wrong with taking your painkiller or laying down in bed. It was a perfect opportunity to start whacking this disease again. You understand?
Yes.
People who cure things may take painkillers and they also may lay down in bed. But while they're doing that, they cure them. You get the idea?
Right.
People who don't cure things lay down there and they say, oh no, what am I going to do now? And I guess I better make another doctor's appointment for tomorrow. And gosh, I better change my what I'm eating and stop eating so many of such and such because I know it's bad for me. Somebody told me that. And they're not testing. They're not actually finding out for themselves and controlling their own lives and their own destiny. This is freedom, okay? What we're giving you here is freedom. You with me?
Yes, I am.
What does that mean to you when I say that?
That means I can be more in control instead of relinquishing my control to whatever else is out there to help me. I can help myself much more. Is that real to me?
Freedom. The idea that what you were just saying, is that real to you, that you can do that you can be free?
It is. I feel like I need to educate myself more on this process, but yes, once I am that way, I feel that I could be much more free.
You know something? You educated yourself today when you let God in. Remember that?
Yes.
That's the main education. Being like you have this big guy standing behind you. So you don't have to worry about any bullies messing with you. Get the idea?
Yes.
You got God. You got a big friend. Anybody messes with you, you just point with your thumb, see him? It starts there, and that's freedom. See, slavery is dependency on people. People are enslaving. God is freeing. Get the idea?
Yes.
How does that feel?
That feels great.
I'm happy for you. You can look back on this endometriosis and be thanking God that you got it. Because it turns into the thing that frees you.
Yeah, that's my hope. That's my, I'm hoping to turn it into something good in many ways.
There was a Zen monk named Takuan who was friends with the first shogun, Ieyasu, and also with his arch enemy who he killed, and also with Musashi Miyamoto, who was the greatest samurai who ever lived. And Takuan once wrote that when you see the advancing sword, if your mind is not detained by the advancing sword, if your mind doesn't stick to anything, then you can grab that sword that is coming to cut you down and wrest it from your enemy's grasp, and then that sword becomes the thing that cuts down your enemy. You with me?
Yes,
You can't tell the truth, you can't learn anything, so that's good that you do. The key to all learning is telling the truth about yourself. understanding yourself, Sun Tzu said, understand yourself and understand your enemy. And in 100 battles, you will be victorious. But if you do not understand yourself, but you understand your enemy, then you will only be victorious in half of your battles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I tested down and I took some notes about the ones that I tested yes to on the immune dysfunction list.
Read them to us right now. Tell us which immune dysfunction.
Okay, the ones I tested yes to were allergies and allergies advanced, attention deficit, aversion to something that didn't work, deflecting, frustration, hope, immobility.
Yes, okay. Now say I'm removing all hope that I will cure this.
I'm removing all hope that I will cure this.
And see when you get a signal.
I got a yes.
But just, if you find yourself hoping, take it out. If you find yourself frustrated, take it out. It's telling you, if you find, you know what the attention deficit is? Test this. Is the attention deficit dropping the ball when I got sick and not curing it, stopping curing it?
Is the attention deficit dropping the ball when I got sick and not curing it? Yes.
That was a signal. If the attention deficit is, you were supposed to keep your attention focused on curing it, but you shifted it over, took painkillers, and forgot about curing it. That's attention deficit disorder.
Okay.
You get the idea? It's cluing you in. It's just giving you direct communications. These aren't big, things to, worry about. They're messages. You're being told, stop with the frustration, get moving.
Now, what is hope? Why is it bad to have, it says the immune dysfunction of hope, and I'm removing that. Why is that?
Hope means you're not doing it.
Oh.
That's why.
Okay.
Well, same lecture, different day. It is the next installment in this saga. And it is, I told you this was the turning point of my life, so I might as well tell you why. I mean, it's really, this is the transformation. It's what it looks like to becoming somebody who cures something. Okay, it's the summer of that year, 96, and Bill went to a huge, like a convention for gay men. You know, what it was like, it was probably, he told me a little about it, but it was sort of like probably like a whole life expo. You know what those are like, where you have all these workshops going simultaneously, and you have to pick the one you want, and there was like around 2,000 men there. So you see, the question we're asking here, okay, you want to look back on this experience that I'm telling you about, where I helped Bill cure his hepatitis. When he called me, I freaked. I was scared to death, because, I was going like, this better work, He's going to die. It turns into liver cancer. I could imagine, visiting Bill, when he was, dying. What was that going to be like? I had watched somebody die of cancer before I learned how to cure things. I didn't know you could cure cancer when she died, Jackie. Jackie was a friend of Bill's, too. Jackie was the doctor who ran the cancer support groups at Pennsylvania Hospital. And she'd had a mastectomy when I met her. She was the only woman I ever was lovers with who died. That was a rite of passage. Whoa, I didn't want to go through that with Bill. You know, I was, whoa, okay, you know. Oh, boy. And so, of course, the reason why I was so scared, I mean, what was I to be scared about, you know? I cured my herpes, and herpes is a virus, and hepatitis B is a virus. So what was the problem? What was the big problem, you know? The big problem was I didn't know you could cure things with any degree of certainty. I wasn't somebody who cures things. I was somebody who doesn't cure things, who had cured a couple of things. That's why. You know, that was the big problem. You know, there you got it right there. You know. Oh man, I was picturing myself at Bill's funeral when he called me. Not a pretty picture. Okay, so anyway, so Bill went to this convention for gay men, and they had this point where mostly it was these small workshops and people would pick their workshops, but they had this point where everybody could get together, and I guess everybody probably didn't get together at that point, but there were around 1,500 guys, you know, in the room or in the auditorium or whatever it was, and the leader, the facilitator, invited them to stand up and say if they wanted to say anything. And Bill stood up and he said, "I cured hepatitis B." And he said, "I believe it's possible to kill HIV. We can also cure HIV." And the facilitator said, "Bill," he said, "you shouldn't be in this. You should be leading this." He said, why aren't you giving a workshop? You know, he said, play at your level. And see, that is one of Bill's main problems, has always been that he doesn't play at his level in life. You know, he doesn't do what he can. But you know, I will say you have to give Bill some credit, because Bill has stood up, like he stood up at this gathering, you know, and like for another example, like Bill once cut off all federal funding to the city of Philadelphia because of their discriminatory hiring practices. Bill was one of 6 people in charge of civil rights in this country for years. He was the director of HUD for the Northeast region. And he, you know, he wore an ear, he had his ear pierced in the, you know, early in the 80s, you know, in the Reagan administration, he wore an earring to work. And they looked at him, you know, I guess he said to me, he once said to me, like, they looked at me and they said, well, this guy is outing himself in here now. This is the wrong time to do this, you know. Maybe we should put him in charge of civil rights. And that's what they did, you know, they put him in charge of civil rights, and he really did stand up for civil rights. You know, Bill was a fighter. I mean, you have to give Bill a lot of credit, you know. I was proud of him a lot of times when he was doing my courses, and he was really an exemplary, he was an example of what I taught my students, you know, to confront, to create confront, you know, like Dr. Phil does. I like Dr. Phil, you know, he's carried on the good work, you know. He has. You got to give him a lot of credit too. So anyway, after this thing broke, a whole bunch of guys came over, and, you know, they were slapping Bill on the back. Hey, Bill, great going, you know, man, you really said it. And not a single person came over to him and said, okay, let's wipe HIV off the map. Not a single person. You know, and you know, there had to be like hundreds of those guys were positive and were on the cocktail. You know that. And actually they're, you know, yeah, it was 1996. You know, I mean, a lot of those guys were on the cocktail, and not a one came over. I am looking for the person who will end the HIV epidemic. So if you bump into her, or happen to have been her college roommate or whatever, or his college roommate, tell him to give me a call, okay? And we'll do it, you know? I am looking for that person. First, they'll have to become somebody who cures things, because obviously they're not, or they would have ended the epidemic, right? There wouldn't be any epidemic if somebody who came along who could, you know, and who was the person, you know. Anyway, whatever. So we'll tell him to get in touch with me. Anyway, okay. So the guy walked over to this guy. The other guy came over to Bill, and this guy said, "Help me." He said, "I'm dying." And he just wasn't HIV positive. He had AIDS. He had had his second pneumonia. His doctor told him, "One more pneumonia and you're out of here." His name was Chuck LaSpada. And he said, "Please," he said, "please help me." He said, I'm going to die." And Bill said, "Okay." And he got him on the phone with me. Call Byard, you know. I think Bill called me also. He said, "I told this guy to call you," and whatever, or you know, whatever. But anyway, so when Chuck called, I said, "Come over." But this time I said, "Come for the weekend." See, because I realized, like, this guy's dying. I better make sure that we actually. I mean, I didn't even know, like, he could have he could have showed up with pneumonia, you know. And I realized, I said, but whatever he's got, when he comes here, we are curing it. I don't care what it is. At this point, I had become somebody who cures things. That was it. See, you know, Bill has had, I have to say about Bill, that Bill has had this effect on me throughout my life. This was not the only time where he created a major transformation in my life, and this was one of them. Bill is, I would say that he is one of the people, at least, who is responsible for me making this transformation, because he threw this responsibility at me, you know, for him being a ditz, for one thing, and also for, you know, Chuck. And so, and plus he stood up and he set an example, and he was with me. I mean, he was fighting alongside me in some way, in his way, you know. Maybe he could have done more, but, you know, whatever he could do, whatever he saw he could do, at least he tried to do. And so, okay, so Chuck came over, and he came Thursday, and he was, you know, he was only had this, you know, he just looked real waxy, okay, let's put it that way. And I said, okay, you know, we're going to cure it tomorrow morning. We'll go to the running track. We'll do. I figured I'd do what I did with Bill, and I said, but tonight I said we should go shopping because we got to get food for the, you know, he got there around 6, I guess. And I said, we go out together. We'll buy food for the weekend. So we went to BJ's Price Club, right? And we're pushing a shopping cart around. You know, he's helping me shop. You know, and I'm, you know, throwing things in the cart, and all of a sudden I just couldn't hold back anymore, and I said, okay, we're going to cure this right now. We were walking away from the food and produce area. I'll never forget it, you know. And I said, let's just cure it right now. And I had him start taking it out. And he, like about, after he did like the second or third removal, he went like, he said, I'm getting dizzy. And I went, uh-oh. He's on a concrete floor, right? So I said, oh, wait a minute. I didn't expect this. Bill didn't get dizzy. Nobody had ever gotten dizzy on me before. And then he started, and I had him keep doing it. He started telling me he was nauseated and he was seeing double. And I took him off the aisle. I said, come here. We went into the side aisle, and I sat him down on something, and I said, just keep going. I was scared then, too. I got a little scared then, but I just said, okay, I figured, because some nutritionist I knew mentioned something they called die-off. And I went, so see, what happened was, at first I got a little scared, but then I realized, I said, he's killing this thing. That's what this is. It's dying off, you know? It's exactly what this guy talked about. I remembered this. So I said, just keep going. Take it out. Keep taking it out. And see, in the nutrition world, of course, it takes weeks or months or whatever for something to die off. But in this case, it took like, 10 minutes or whatever, and he was fine. All of a sudden, he was fine. Everything, all that passed. And he was in this really, really profound version of the calm, clear place that you see Molly going to, right? Well, it was, in his case, he was zonked. It wasn't like Molly, where she's just feeling relaxed. I mean, he was, whoa. I've been there, I have experienced that many times, actually. And like when you really cure something, that's major. When you cure something that's major, that's what happens. And so, that was his story. Chuck never got another pneumonia. He never had any other problem, I guess. He may have had other problems, but basically he talked to Greg a couple of years later, and he was fine. So that's it. People cure things. The question is, who's going to turn into the people who are somebody who cures things? It's a beingness. It's where you you don't get sick. You win. You don't get sick. You win. That's it, baby. Your family doesn't get sick. They get to win. You do not tolerate them doing what, the other thing or whatever it is they're messing around with, or just they just say, well, I can't. I'm sick. I can't cure this. I don't know. You don't allow that. That you be someone who cures things. Because another thing you're going to find out is the way this works is you're either infecting them or they're infecting you, okay? So you find out, you either infect them with cure or they infect you with whatever they've got. And there is no middle ground. There is, you can be immune. You can be immune, but not really. It just isn't realistic. It's like trying to quit smoking when you live with a smoker. I don't think so.
Route until the next season.
Yep, the rain is here.
Just in time for the winter.
Well, you are the bravest person I have ever known, I believe. Of everyone, all the people, even of people I've seen in the movies. You are the bravest person I've ever known. I know you 30 years. I've watched you go through many, many organizational crises where you were the rock of Gibraltar that held everyone and everything together. Say something about any of that if you want.
Well, I don't know. But I actually just let go this time around when it took 3 weeks for them to get their act together.
This is typical of hundreds of these crises down through the many, many 30 years. I know you since 1975. So many years. And one thing after another. But you have always kept us, when I was ready to throw in the towel, that's a long time ago.
I know. I remember when we. That was a long time, different whole thing. But
the Palace Revolt of 1990.
I remember you're saying, "Well, that's it," and it's over. And I said, "What do you mean?" No, it isn't. Don't be silly.
It was interesting because nothing that fazed me ever seemed to even faze you. It was like you lived in a different reality than I did.
Well, maybe I had the reckless courage of the non-combatant, as my old boss used to say.
I don't know. But you that's an interesting thing you say, because truthfully, though you're one of our team, you never feel as though your survival is threatened in any way, it seems.
It's kind of odd, actually, because I know some members of my family are so security-oriented.
Yes, you take risks like... Clausewitz talked about boldness, and he said that an army officer who leaps a chasm when he's being chased by attackers is not bold. He's just resolute. He knew it's the lesser of two things to be scared of. But he said boldness is very, very rare in people, and you're actually bold.
Well, my father's been very supportive of me.
Yes, he has.
He always says, "Well, you can't stop. You just have to keep going." It's like, you can't quit now. And then
He is like you like that.
and he says, like, if you lose everything, so let go, you know, like, just let it all go. Well, I feel a little lighter. I mean,
Okay.
it's a little lighter. That's all I can describe.
So this was just an example.
Yeah,
That's all it was supposed to be, just an example of how to do this. But now, maybe go back and look through test through the pathologies again, and let's see if you find something that's more serious, if anything. We're looking for something more serious, something that makes you feel really, really different. That may not happen.
Well, I do feel something here, which is conditions.
Okay?
So I'll go to the bodies and
Just get...
emotional.
Okay.
So
Now let's start from what you would do with this from the top is, do I have any conditions in my emotional body?
do I have any conditions in my emotional body? Yes. So do I have more than one now? Because I have a condition. So do I have a condition?
What comes into your mind? Anything?
This is the hard part.
Yeah, see, because this is what people have to learn to do, is to channel. This is channeling. When people talk about channeling, that's what it is. Whatever is going to come to your mind could very well be the thing you're looking for if you're able to channel. What is the condition? Can you see, sense, or feel anything? Maybe you don't have a word for it.
Did I get that it was an emotion? It was in the emotional body?
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe it's just what I would think is that sometimes, no matter how things go right, I don't think that they are all that spectacular. You know, like,
Does that mean your emotional body is damaged?
no.
It means that it's just simply a condition that's in the emotional body.
It just makes me. I mean, like, I don't express my joy as much as I could, or my satisfaction.
Okay. Have I removed it?
Yes.
Sometimes instead of trying to remove something, just ask, have I removed it? It may be gone.
Yes.
Do you feel any different?
Well, I feel like I can breathe again, because for a second there I didn't feel like I was breathing. Like I have to remind myself. Good, except I just want to say the thing that was kind of joyful.
Okay, go ahead.
That was what I was thinking about how when I was little, we always had flat roofs on our house.
Right.
And the rain was always so pleasant to listen to.
Right.
On the roof, you know, because I could hear it pattering.
Go to the home page and join the Cure Drive.
Okay.
And read the emails.
Okay.
Now, test, have I cured anything since I started?
Have I cured anything since I started?
And see if you get a signal. See, I'm noticing you can keep your hands any way you want and look for a signal in them. You don't have to put them in any special position. You know, it's just the way they are.
Yes.
You test yes now. Now, test, is that because my definition of cure changed?
Is that because my definition of cure changed? Yes.
You know what? People lay a major trip on themselves about curing things.
Yeah.
And, you know, it really, in a way, probably for a lot of us, it doesn't actually interfere with curing anything. I say that because when I started, I had the most stringent definition of curing you could ever imagine. And frankly, I didn't think I'd cured my herpes when I stopped getting outbreaks.
Wow.
You know, because I was thinking, oh, well, it's just delayed, it will come, you know.
Right.
And what happened was, it came. It was it must have been around 9 months after I cured it, it was like probably 5 months overdue, and I was starting to think that I had cured it. And then one day it started to come. And I started feeling that feeling you get, but when you
Right.
start to get a herpes outbreak, people who don't have herpes don't understand
They
what
don't
we're talking
understand what
about.
it's like,
Yeah, but
yeah.
they don't know. But we know.
Yeah.
And so I started getting that feeling. I'll never forget it. I was in the shower,
Mm-hmm.
and I was paralyzed with dread
Mm-hmm.
because I had gotten used to having cured it, even though I wouldn't give it to I
Right.
wouldn't say I've cured this really,
Right.
but I was at the same time I was believing, and I was starting to think maybe it was gone, and then here it was again, this opponent, the bully that takes
Yeah.
my lunch money after school every
Oh,
day
yeah.
is here, and I
Yes.
can't do anything about this. I'm
Yes.
helpless, you know?
Yes.
And I couldn't do this. In that moment, I couldn't cure it. And I was, but fortunately, it didn't come. See, the actual herpes didn't come for about a day, till after the feeling started. You know, I had a very, kind of long time. My outbreaks were like every 3 months or something.
That was me too.
Yeah. And so I had some time, maybe hours it would take for the thing to come. And I, in a few minutes, I passed over my dread,
Yeah.
and I took the herpes out.
Wow.
Yep, I took out the herpes. And the feeling went away. And it kept coming back for about a week, and every time it came back, I whacked it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never got the outbreak.
Yeah.
I never had the outbreak, and then it stopped coming back. And I kept finding herpes. You haven't learned how to do this. So you actually haven't learned how to cure your herpes yet.
No.
But anyway, I just kept taking it out, and at some point, it didn't come back. You know, if you keep shooting them when they come down the hill, at some point, no
Yeah.
more of them come down the hill.
How long has it been since you've had an outbreak then? How long has it been since you
I cured it in 1993.
Oh,
Yeah.
love that. Because I get the big
Uh-huh. I had that.
stress.
I had the
brings it on.
lip and genital. I had both.
Yeah. Great.
Let me see if there's anything else I have to tell you. Oh, yes. Oh, report your cures in the poll.
Report my...
Where you tested that you cured something or some things.
Right.
After you leave here, when you go to the homepage, you join the Cure Drive, and then there's on the homepage it says Report Cure.
Okay.
Click on that, and it goes to the page, and then you go to the form, and you click the little boxes, and that will, and you test how many cures you had. Remember, like you were testing how many trauma you had?
Right.
Well, you test how many cures you had.
Yeah.
So, and then you report, whatever it is. And then maybe you'll have more by the time you get home. You know,
Yeah.
you can cure things in your car. I once cured a kidney problem in my car in 10 minutes on the way from the park to my house. This was in Philadelphia in 1994. And I haven't had a kidney problem since then, I will say. But it was a suddenly occurring kidney problem. Next time we do this, I'm going to guarantee you that you are going to discover things you never knew you had wrong with you.
Okay.
That'll be
I don't know
it.
how good that sounds.
That's
Pete,
yeah,
but-
really. We will. It's like taking your car to the mechanic.
Right, exactly.
Yep, you're going to need a. That's it for this one. Wave goodbye, Gracie.
Bye.
This is the quiet time of the day. And in this little neighborhood where I live, the people haven't yet, although they're home now and the traffic has stopped, the incoming traffic has stopped, they haven't yet got the lights on in their houses, or maybe just a few. And in this neighborhood, where I am, the people here are the salt of the earth. Now is my favorite time of day. The sun is gone, but not the light. And I often stop when I'm jogging around this time and stand and look. And the people turn on the lights and they make dinner or are eating it. These guys are helpless. They're stalked their entire lives by these diseases they don't know they can cure. and that you and I know they can cure. Are you here with me now? Standing here thinking what I'm thinking? You feel that? And thinking, we have a weapon. We can hand them the weapon. These people have no idea that you and I right now are looking at their house and thinking that they have a weapon that they don't know they have. And the weapon is in them. And they can protect their loved ones and themselves. Do you want that like I want it? Well, yeah, you do, if, and probably only if you're in the calm, clear place right now. Or test.
Okay, I actually tried that today.
Oh, good.
And I tried to see a difference between the yes and no on my finger, and I got the same thing. My finger wiggled both ways, so I thought.
Maybe it's just saying, maybe God is just saying hello to you.
I don't know. I'll keep trying that, but.
Well, you know what that says to me? Like, if we look back on today and you say, well, you know, there was a moment when I did try to get a signal on my finger, and you know what that says to me? It says that to some extent, in some small way, you are somebody who cures things. You are becoming somebody who cures things, or were before I met you, or whatever. It's happening. It is happening. It's there. That fight, that power is there inside of you.
It is, yes.
I'm proud of you. I feel like you're my World War I ace come back after shooting down 3 Fokkers. Just because you made one little test.
I am. I feel proud of you.
Actually,
In the middle of, what?
when I want something bad enough, I go for it. I mean, I'm really focused, and this is very important to me. It's just been I guess it's been a really bad time for me to start this. I don't know.
No, the best time to start it is always immediately, whenever that is. This is the essential skill that you absolutely have to get through life. And you must use it all day, every day, without fail, no matter what. This isn't a thing that you do, it's not an exercise, and it's not things that you start or stop. It's something you do all the time. It's you. You're communicating with God when you do this. And it is simply staying in touch with God. That's what it is. Now, how about if you test if that's so?
Okay, test if I'm communicating with God when I'm testing. Or?
Yeah.
Okay, am I communicating with God when I'm testing signals? Yes.
Well, how about testing, can I cure this condition that I have?
Okay, can I cure this condition that I have? Yes.
Okay, is there any other way that you would phrase it so that it's real for you in your own words? Well, we should ask, was that real for you? Yeah.
I guess I need to add the name of the disease to that, so I'll know that I'm really focused on this specific condition.
Right.
Am I able to cure endometriosis with this information? I'm getting a yes on that.
That's good, because it was a terrible way to phrase that question, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Because the information is not going to do anything. It's not going to cure it. But you got a yes anyway because your heart was in the right place and you were really asking about curing the endometriosis, not the information. You could have just left that off.
Okay.
You see that's where
Doing great.
that's a sort of a place where we see something about you that you're not seeing, because you're speaking from your heart, and then the words that come out are coming from your mind. You're talking about this information. You're just saying, can I cure this? I want to cure this. Can I cure this? And you're getting a yes. But so many things that you say are coming, and they're couched in something that you learned somewhere, so there's a disconnect in there. And are you able to see that disconnection that I'm talking about?
Now that you mention it, yes.
Yeah. So how about testing? Is that something that's in the way of me curing?
Is this disconnect something that's in the way of me curing endometriosis? Yes.
Oh, I don't know if it has to be. I mean, you get yes, okay. Well then, I think it's up to you to now to do something for yourself and connect with that, what we're talking about, that innate ability, that God-given ability, really with God in a way that it's really truly what you're saying and what you're feeling and what you're doing, and the actual curative nature that we're talking about all comes together.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. The cure drive isn't going to cure you.
I mean, using...
That's not a misgiving. It's the way it is.
Well,
Okay, do we have that understanding now? We clear on it?
well, I guess I meant that the information with me using this information...
No, there's no information in there that's going to cure you. Nowhere on the web college, nowhere is there any information whatsoever that will cure you. Are we clear about it?
Yes.
Now, have you really abandoned all hope that it will cure you? Because hope is an immune dysfunction, so I don't want any less. I do not want the slightest vestige of you thinking that there is anything me, the cure drive, or any of us can do that will cure you. Is it gone?
Yes.
Okay, so now this is between you and God now, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, you just tested that you can cure this. Now, you could also have tested, can God cure this, because it really doesn't matter how you put it. It's you, God, it's you and God working together that cure these things, okay?
Okay.
Right. We got to give God all the credit. And at the same time, you're right, you got to push through your pain and do what you got to do. Are you with me?
Yes, I am.